It always has and it always will be a very, very proud football region.
The football history down here is huge.
The Wolves was everything that everybody wanted to aspire to.
This is Wollongong, home to one of Australia's most historic football clubs. A club who has won back-to-back national championships. A club who has become continental champions. Yet a club who hasn't seen top-flight football in over 13 years. The Wollongong Wolves were formed in 1980 and played their first season in the National Soccer League in 1981. However, football was already the sport of choice in the area for many, owing to a significant migrant influence in the late 1950s and 60s.
If you look at the steelworks itself, a lot of migrant families moved over here and worked at the steelworks. Les Murray was down here, for example, who was a migrant himself from Budapest. And you look at the culture like that, they brought football over here and it's helped football thrive, I think.
They all had the love of football. A lot of them settled down here and continued that love down here. A lot of the local clubs were formed down here through a lot of the immigrants and a lot of the people who came and made Wollongong home.
I think you've got to look at football, and if you look at football clubs, it is a bit like a family. People come to the games, they like to go to the games, and you're meeting people there. I guess it's similar to something like a church, and you've travelled halfway across the world. You want to have that little bit of community, and that's what a football club does at the end of the day. Once you're going to games and all that sort of things, you've got that little sense of community, and I think that's what the Wolves brought.
Well, they were formed in 1980, and John Balestra was the secretary at the time.
I remember watching the very first game here as a teenager, here at the old Wollongong Showground, right here, and the Wolves beat Sydney Olympic, I think 3-1, and the place was packed, and it was just such a long wait to have a National League team here.
Look, the early years, I think it was a huge buzz for the region, having their own team. There was a distinct sense of pride and achievement. The Wolves very, very quickly found a very, very strong, passionate following within the region because it was the local team representing the local area and providing opportunities for the local kids.
They used to play at a different ground, not here at Winter Stadium. Although they did play here, they played at a place called Brandon Park. It was a different time for football, really. But a very good local support is what they got. They're a real community club.
My biggest memories is myself, along with my family, would go to Brandon Park and sit in the grandstand and watch the Wolves, all the players, Scott Chipperfield, Stuart Young, David Savinsky. People underestimate the history that the Wolves has across the Illawarra and South Coast.
More and more kids were vying to be part of what we were building, part of the organisation, have the Wolves represent the club. We ended up growing, we ended up evolving, and then the success came.
And this success came in the form of Wollongong becoming the first and only football club based outside of a major city to win back-to-back national championships. The first of which going down in history, as the Wolves came from 3 goals down at half-time to beat Perth Glory away from home.
The 2000 grand final still, it brings shivers to me when I think about it.
Oh look, I don't think there's any doubt that grand final was definitely the greatest game in Australian football ever.
It is one of the great stories. Perth were a powerhouse.
I remember at half-time, 3-0. As a kid, there was a few of us there in tears thinking the game was over.
To be 3-0 down in any game is, your back's against the wall.
Well, shall I watch the rest of it if they're going to get a pasting? But I thought, no, you never know what can happen in football.
We went to 3-1, a little bit of hope, we went to 3-2, and then I knew.
Here's Reid! Reid, yes! Oh my goodness, it's 3-all! Afkos against Pagliacomi. Saved! That's it!
Getting to a grand final is hard enough. Winning a grand final is a huge achievement in itself. Then being able to come back with a different coach and a different sort of mindset when it comes to football itself and win back-to-back premierships, that's absolutely outstanding. And that will be a highlight not just in football across the Illawarra, but in sport across our region for eternity.
However, in 2004, Football Federation Australia announced that they would be replacing the old National Soccer League with a brand new, fully professional competition, the A-League, where entry could only be guaranteed via the awarding of a licence. Despite their intentions to join the league, things didn't quite work out for the Wolves, relegating them to State League football for the first time since 1987.
Yeah, look, I was a player for the Wollongong Wolves in the last game we ever played in the National League here at WIN Stadium. I remember the day clearly. It was against Melbourne Knights.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment, I think. I think the funding was probably the issue at the time, and they didn't go in. I think the Central Coast Mariners came in because Wollongong didn't put in a bid.
They missed an opportunity there. They wanted to be in the A-League and things just didn't quite pan out. But if you look at a club like the Central Coast that got into the competition, the Wolves probably could have gone in that spot.
Look, those years were pretty much wilderness years for the Wolves. There's been some good years followed by some very, very lean years.
Well, I won the Premier League in 2008, which was a good thing. Then the 2009 was a bit of an abomination because they became a community-owned club and didn't win a game the entire year.
They went homeless for a long period, and I think for a while there they had to really find their own identity again.
And then we had trouble with, you know, it was the South Coast Wolves and then it's back to Wollongong Wolves, so the name changes I think haven't helped.
I think for a few years there they were just sort of working out what they wanted to be again, but now they know what they want to do and they know they want to be back on that national stage, I think.
A lot of the old people that I know still say how the Wolves are a big part of their lives from the past, and they've let it go because of for whatever reasons. People move on, but I believe in a circle. Okay, so the circles come with Wolves in their time were great, and it's we died off, people moved on, but I believe it'll come back, and I want to be a part of that succession.
And with the FFA announcing their intention to expand the A-League from 10 teams to 12 by 2019, the Wolves are now as close to top flight football as they have been in 13 years. And they're determined to learn from their mistakes.
David Gallop said he wants to fish where the fish are, and this is where the fish are. People are just ravenous for football down here, and they're just waiting for the chance.
Even with us being in the NPL, we had a couple of FFA Cup matches and the whole community responded.
We've shown with those FFA Cup games that people will get out and support.
It's not just the FFA Cup games. If you look at there was the A-League All-Stars game down here as well, which was a friendly game, and they were shocked.
You can always go back to the old cliche, build it and they will come. The strength of the Wolves A-League bid is we don't have to build it. Where we are sitting today is light years ahead of where we were sitting this time last year, and it's set us up perfectly for where we intend to go.
One thing that the Wolves can bring that no other A-League team can is history.
Recently I got an email from a Perth supporter and it began, I hate the Wollongong Wolves with a passion. I will hate you for the rest of my life. But I want you back in the A-League so I can come to WIN Stadium, sit in the crowd and watch our boys thump you 3-0 and fly back home with a huge smile on my face. You can't buy that passion. You can't buy that rivalry. You can't manufacture that engagement between teams. We already have it.
People aren't going to be worried about commuting to the game. You're going to get a lot of travelling fans. You're going to get the parochial locals that you know you're going to get anyway.
The sort of people that are involved in the club have all got the same vision. We're fighting for the same cause, and we're all striving to get the club to where hopefully it belongs back in the top tier of Australian football. It can only be good for the city.
One of the most impressive parts of our arguments is we've been there and we've done that and we're coming back and we're going to do it again.